Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're going to be putting my spin on this folio. Now let me tell you about this one. This is a folio class that Shannon did months ago. This is actually a kit that Echo Park gave us to use in that class. So this was designed by another teacher, and I want to tell you her name because I think she did an excellent job. Nikki Scher. I hope I'm saying her name right, but it was designed by her. Well, I really like it, but y'all know me, I needed to put my own spin on it. So I'm going to show you today how to get kind of the basic same thing with a little Maymay twist. All right, so here we go. First, you're probably thinking, why are you putting your own spin on it? There was a lot of cuts to make that. Like, there was just ways we could do it, or we could kind of get the same feel without making as many cuts. So that's what we're going to do. All right, we're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Now, my cardstock is actually the felt cardstock from Echo Park, and I cut it down to 8.5 by 11 because I love that cardstock, so that's what I'm using. Now, here's where you're going to be scoring this piece. Put it in your scoreboard on the 11-inch side, and I want you to score it at 2 1/4, 3 1/4. Can y'all tell when I'm looking at my notes because I look away and my voice changes? 9 3/4, and 10 1/2. So this is going to be what everything builds off of. This is everything we're going to be adding. The bottom here, the sides here, this will be our top flap. So I don't mess myself up, I'm going to go ahead and corner round this top section where we did that first 2 1/4 score. That way I will know this is my top flap. I should anyway because of having this little 1/2 inch. But once I add that bottom flap on, things can get a little bit crazy. So go ahead and score that so you'll know, or round the corner so you'll know if you want to round your corners. Now while we're here, let's do some other scoring. Now our next piece is 9.5 by 8 1/4, and we need to do some scoring to it as well. Also, don't worry about all these measures that I'm saying. We'll have them listed in the description below and also in a blog post about this folio for you. So with this guy on the 9.5 inch side in your scoreboard, I want you to score it at 9 inches, and then I want to flip it and score it at 9 inches again. I just need a 1/2 inch score on either side, and that's the easiest way for me to get that, so I don't have to fidget over here and try to get that 1/2 inch. Now what I want to do is I want to turn it to the 8 1/4 side, and I want to score it at 6. So this piece is scored and ready to go. So let me get that where you can see that. Let me flip it over, it might show better. So we've got 1/2 inch here, 6 inch here, 1/2 inch here, and that's all we need on that one. Now this is going to be a little pocket in the bottom or in the middle of the folio. So it's 9 inches long and it's 2 3/4 high. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to score it on this end at 8.5. I'm going to flip it, score it at 8.5 again. Again, we're just getting that 1/2 inch gusset, but this is the way I like to do it. Then we're going to turn it on the 2 3/4 side, and I want you to score it at 2 1/4. So you can see we're basically doing the same thing. We're just getting our pocket built. That's it. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now this folio has these two pieces that fold out in the middle to either side. This piece is 9.5 by 6.5, and here's where we're going to score it. We're going to score it first at 4 1/4, then 8.5, and then 9. Now I went through that quick, but that's because I got another one to do. I'm going to do one more, okay? So I'll put it back in on the 9.5 inch side. We're going to score 4 1/4, 8.5, and 9. All right, so those are going to be our side flaps. So that's all our scoring we have to do. All right, so let's go back to our main folio portion, and I'm going to go ahead and fold and crease this guy, okay? I think it'll just help us in the long run. You see me flipping and flipping it. I'm just trying to decide what side of the page I want out. I think I've decided I want this side out. So I'm going to fold and crease all the lines. You know the deal, right? Fold and crease and fold and crease. That's what we're going to do. Now, I wanted to do these so you can kind of see the body of the folio take shape. So you see this is our base of our folio, and we're going to build on top of it. So let's build the piece that's going to glue to this 1/2 inch spot. Let's do that real quick. That is this bottom flap, and it can get a little confusing. Once I make it, you'll get it. But for the first little bit, it can be confusing. What I want you to do is right here where these score marks cross over, this is what I want you to do. Just go with me on this, okay? I want you to make an angled cut to that score mark, okay? Do you see what I did there? An angled cut to that score mark. Now, if you look, this is going to be a flap we turn under, and all we're doing is cutting the excess away, getting the bulk out of there. So I want you to do that on both sides. So into the little gusset to the score mark. Now there's a reason for that. This is a long trim we need to do on either side, and I don't want to do that with my scissors. I want to do it with my trimmer. And because of that little mark, it tells me where to stop, if that makes sense, that little angle mark we did. So I'm going to line my score mark up on to my cut line. I'm going to start at the top this time because I'm pulling down to my little mark, and that little mark will let me know where to stop. I should feel them separate like that. I felt the little click. Do you see that? So that comes away, and we now have the perfect little tab. Let's do the other side the same way. This seems fidgety, but once this makes sense in your brain, you'll be like, oh, I know what she's doing. So now we just have a little more prep work to do, and this one's easy. So where these lines cross over, I'm going to do a mitered corner. I'm just going to cut straight across like so, and then when I fold this, all that bulk will be gone. I'm going to do it on both sides. You guys have seen me do this before. I call this mitering the corners. I get that from sewing. That's where that comes from. That's what I was always taught when we did that. We mitered those corners. Now for this is a pocket for the middle. So all we're going to do is fold these pieces down and then crease them, and we'll glue this in, but not now. This will come later. I just want to go ahead and get it prepped and ready to go. Now, honestly, you would not have to use gussets. I decided to use gussets in this album to give me a little more room for pictures, because this album is thicker than our folios we've been doing, and we have a little more space. So the gussets will give me enough room to put a lot of goodies in the pocket. All right, let's go back to that piece we just cut with the little angle pieces. This one's easy, okay? We're gonna turn up these little flaps and crease them down. Again, this is gonna be a gusseted pocket when we finish. It's gonna go like that, and then we're gonna turn up that score mark there in the middle. That was our 6-inch mark. And we're just going to crease this into place. And this will create our pocket without any work. See that? So all we're gonna do here is glue these into place. Now you could use sticky tape here if you wanted. I'm gonna use wet glue. That tends to be the one I lean to all the time. But sticky tape will work just fine. But you wanna put that on the flaps. You can't always use sticky tape. You guys asked me about that. You know, why glue over sticky tape? In this instance, you can use sticky tape because it's gusseted. That means the sticky tape is not gonna stop you when you're trying to slide things in and out of your pocket. But a lot of times, if you have just sticky tape here straight down and you go to put something in, the little insert will stick inside the tape. But here, it wouldn't do that because it's a gusset. So that's how that goes. All right, let's take this to the folio. So here's our folio. Remember, we know where the top is because we rounded that corner. This is where we want to attach this. Now, I have decided to attach this flap onto this piece with the pocket at the bottom. You can attach this on the inside, but if you do that, this little strip is showing on the outside, so I'm just gonna do it the other way around. So what I'm gonna do is flip this upside down and lay that little piece where I can see it, and I'm gonna glue this to it. But to do it, flip this over as well, okay? Make sure your pocket is flipped over so we're working on the back side of our folio. Again, sticky tape would work just fine here, but I'm gonna use my wet glue. Now, I wanna put this underneath my score mark, and if you're using this felt paper, it's so beautiful. That score mark gets so thick, it's almost like a stopper for you. It's almost like a perfect line there. So I'm gonna put that like that. And then when I turn this back over, do you see how I have a little bit hanging off? I mean, not even enough to see on camera. Here you can see a little more. I'm just gonna trim that away. That comes from our score marks and our folding and things like that where things don't stay perfect. That wouldn't even trim. This side will trim a little bit. And you'll never know. It was a tiny little sliver. No one will ever know. Okay, where's that pocket going? Right in here, but not yet. First, we want to put our little side flaps in. That's these guys. So before we do anything, let's fold and crease all these lines. So these guys are folded like this. Do you see how it opens to the inside of our little binding piece there? They're going to get glued in here, but I want to show you something that I ran into, and you might also. This piece is cut exactly the height of this area where we're gonna glue it. And do you see how that's overlapping just slightly and will keep my flap from closing down well? I'm gonna trim that off. I need to trim about 1/8 of an inch, not much, like less than 1/8 of an inch, really. It's easier for me to give you the full measure and then you come back and make this little trim than saying 6 7/8 or 5 7/8, which it's not gonna be 5 7/8. It's literally going to be just under 6. So I've just barely laid this over my cut line. Sink your blade and go up and down and you'll get that nice little thin cut. See how much I took off? Hardly any. Let me do it to the other one as well. And then I'll show you how much better this will fit in our book. Don't be afraid to have to do this. Sometimes it's just the folding, creasing, scoring. It kind of loses its squareness. And that's why we have to kind of make these edits. All right, so I'm gonna fold this one back up. That flap goes in. This will get glued to the side of our folio and let's just see if it'll fit. If it doesn't, I'll trim it again. This should fit. It was just a little bit. Now, how can I test it? I'm gonna lift this up and you can see that goes 90 degrees, which is perfect. And then I'm gonna lift up the bottom and you can see that one also goes as well. So we're good. Now I wanna glue this in. So I'm gonna put glue on this side of the flap and glue it straight down to the side of our folio base. And then make sure, just do a second check and make sure you're gluing this where both flaps will operate. I just like to do a little check. You can also do a little angled cut. Let me show you. You do have to trim it down height-wise because it does, you know, affect all the way across. But if you wanted to do a little angle cut here to take the bulk out, kind of like we do all the time, you can. I'm not going to. I think this is going to be just fine, and I kind of like how square it makes it. I do have to check. This one feels a little long. Feels a little long. I'm gonna take a little sliver more off of that one. All right, and now glue it in. No one will ever notice you did those little slivers. By the time this is decorated, all your mistakes go away. Glue it right to the edge, inside of your scored folds. All right, so we're all glued in. So these two pieces turn into each other. Isn't that cute how that does that? And then this piece turns up. Now, when you square this up, you'll notice it does not go to the very top. I kind of mimicked what was done in the other folio, but not quite as much. I wanted a little more room here. The reason for this is I didn't want it to get too bulky where this flap has to come over. So I just wanted to make sure it would close nicely there. So that's why you'll have that little drop down, but you're supposed to. So now let's insert our center pocket. This is that little strip we did earlier, and it's gonna lay right inside of here. Now, it's a little shy on either side, and that's fine. That's how you want it. You don't want too much bulk in these areas, okay? There's little reasons for all this to give you a little bit of room, okay? So we're going to glue this in using those flaps. Again, you could use sticky tape here because these are gusseted. And I'm just gonna kind of center this. Looks like I'll have about 1/8, almost 1/4 of an inch on either side. Make sure again at the bottom, you don't overlap your score mark there, okay? And get your little pocket in. Super cute. It looks really plain right now, but just wait till you see the papers. They're gonna be gorgeous. I should also tell you, you might want to cover this before you put this in, and that's fine with your decorator paper. I'm not going to. I'm going to do some panels in here, but if you wanted to, you could do that then. So this is the basic construction of my version of the folio, okay? So it goes like this. It's also larger than that one. Let me show you the difference. I went a little bit bigger. Can you see the height difference? I did that though, it's 1/4 of an inch because of paper. I thought if you're using your 6x8 papers, you might could get more use out of them in this size. All right, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put magnets in right now because y'all know me, I will forget. Okay, so for installing the magnets, I've decided to do 2 large magnets, all right? So what I'm gonna do with this guy squared up like this, I'm gonna make a little pencil mark. All this is getting covered up with decorator paper, so it won't hurt anything, but I wanna have it squared up on my table here, and I'm gonna make a pencil mark just so I'll know where I don't need to go any further than, okay? So with my magnets, I'm using the basic gray that I always use, and I'm using the large ones. I have a plus and a minus. And over here, I have another plus and minus. I feel like the size of this guy is gonna need 2. I'm just gonna put them on either end like this, and you just wanna leave room around them so you can cover them with paper. Let me find my pokey tool. So you want to reveal the backer of one side. These have adhesive already on them, which makes them super easy to use. Then I'm just gonna place it. I'm gonna turn this sideways, and I'm just gonna kind of eyeball place it about like this. I just wanna be able to glue paper around it. So there's that one. Let's do the other one very similar, but on the other end. You can measure if you want these to be in the exact same spot on either side. They don't really need to. They're not going to show. They're going to be hidden. You know, magnets, sometimes people really think these are much harder to put in than they are. They're not. They're very simple. The trick is to remember to put them in before you have to do an implant. That's what I have to do half the time. All right, so let's peel this off. Do I need to do a video on implanting magnets? I probably should do like a Maker Monday on what to do if you forget your magnet. That'd be funny. All right, peel off these backers. Now here's the key. Square this guy up. So square him up like this, square him up to the side before you close this lid down. And when you close the lid, I don't really like where that landed, but I think it's landed. I think I don't have a choice. Okay, when you close the lid, just reach under there and press those magnets into place, like so. Yep, look what I did. I went a little bit off. That's me, that's on me. So what I'm gonna do is try to remove this one and fix it. It's coming off pretty easy. Keep going. I felt myself move that. So let me get that back into place. I'm gonna let the camera help me here. Much better. Okay, that's better. All right, so that is now in. So I can open this up and I'm gonna press these down firmer. This is super sturdy, but remember, we're gonna put 2 more layers of paper, one here and one here on top of those. So those will get sandwiched in really well. But right now you're gonna be like, wow, that's super strong. It is, but let's add the other papers and let's see how it goes. All right, that is the assembly of the folio. Now, I wanna show you the paper pack I'm gonna use. Breaking in here to ask you to hit that red subscribe button. It's free. Also hit the bell button beside it. You can help me reach my big goal this year of 400,000 subscribers. Okay, back to crafting. I am so excited to start using fall paper. Look at this gorgeous new release from Cartabella. It's called Welcome Fall, and it is absolutely stunning. What I'm gonna do for this video is I'm gonna cover the outside of our folio and maybe some of the pieces on the inside, but not all of it, okay? There's some decorating I want to show you. I saw a video that I was intrigued by something that the lady did. I want to share that with you, but that's going to be in our part 2 and our decorating of this guy. So what I'm going to do is run through, you know how this works, and I'm just going to cover flat surfaces with cardstock. That's all I'm going to do. And then in part 2, we'll do the real decorating because I really want to spend a little time on that with you and show you how I would decorate this. So we'll put a little music to it and let you watch me lay all the papers in. You guys, this is so beautiful. I love this paper selection so much. Look how beautiful. Here's the top. All the way around is covered. You see that? All the way here. All the way on the sides are covered. I just love how this is turning out. And then, remember how I told you this would get easier? Look how much easier that is with all that paper. When you come inside, I did this little number. I love this. This is where I want to show you that cool thing that I saw somebody do on their video, but that'll be in part 2. And I am going to have to do an implant here because I did this without thinking. But you'll see. I'll show you how that works. And then look, how cute is this? I loved these plaids kind of flanking this whenever I did it like this. That looks so good. And then I added these guys on the inside. So we have this pocket. We have this pocket at the bottom. We have so many things we can fill up and decorate, and I love the size of this one. This is kind of a biggie boy. It's not super little. I like this one. I hope you guys are enjoying it. This is part 1. This is the assembly and the covering, and we will do decorating in part 2. Don't miss part 2, and the reason is I really think you're going to like that little trick. I think you're going to like it. I think you'll be able to use it in lots of different places, so don't miss part 2. A little teaser for you there. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. You know the deal. Number 1, you need to go ahead and build your folio and go ahead and order your fall paper and get caught up to where I'm at before next week's video with part 2. Number 2, share with me what you make. Whenever you get to this point, share it on our customer gallery or at our Facebook group called MaymayMadeIt, and so did I. We just opened it back up recently, so you can head over there and share your photos there. Lots of inspiration on both of those places for you. Lastly, if you don't mind, give me a subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button. It's free. It'll help me reach my goal for 2022. Thanks so much for being here today, guys. And until next time, bye now.